When it comes to life, right, there are different motivations. There are different points of view. But when it comes to following somebody from a feminine, submissive space, when it comes to making decisions, when it comes to yielding yourself in a particular direction, what we have to understand is that logic isn't the only thing. It's not. Logic alone does not work, because when it comes to pure logic, if you are feeling something else that is stronger in a different direction, logic will not move you. No matter how many facts you present, it will not move an individual. A person has to feel it, right? Now, if a person already has a direction that they want to go in, and then someone presents facts that corroborate the narrative that they have internally, that they already feel something strongly towards, then they're going to yield themselves to those particular facts. This is just understanding, certain levels of basic human psychology. Now, understand that sex is felt in the body, the same place that emotions are felt. Sex is felt in the body just like emotions are felt in the body. Once sex mixes with emotions, you are in a position of high suggestibility and high levels of influence. Now, that influence can work on you in a variety of ways, right? And that's where I kind of come into the sexual polarity quadrant. I'm not going to touch on that too much in this particular video. But something to understand is that when it comes to leadership, a man being a leader with a woman and her desiring that, her valuing that, is often going to come from a place of two things: her respect and her desire. And when I break it down, I say it's good dick and guidance, right? Which means that she needs to have a place where her sexual desires and her emotional desires, where her emotion and sex mixes, right? That's the good dick, right? In a way that she feels is dominant, in a way that she's willing to get into her submissive sexual ego, to give up control, and to experience high levels of pleasure. Or at least to desire to, right? To be in that frame of mind. It doesn't even have to be sex that's going on, but I often don't like to separate the two when it comes to that. But it doesn't have to be sex that's going on. It's just desire and respect. When a woman desires you, she respects you. As a man, she respects your logic, your mindset. She likes the way you think. And then she's also attracted to you in a way where she desires you sexually. Then a woman is going to typically yield herself to your leadership. You have influence. And in that place of influence is a matter of what are you going to use that influence to do? Now, if you use that influence to better her life, to better her paradigm, her thought process, help her make decisions that she's lacked the willpower to make. Because, really that's what a big part of good D and guidance is about. Sometimes people know what to do, or they've heard the right thing to do. But although you hear the right thing to do, it doesn't mean that you have the power to do it. Because if your emotions, if you have a guilty pleasure that is stronger than your logical decision, then you're not going to be in an integrated enough place to do that consistently, and consistently enough for that to turn out well. Consistently enough to see all the positives from it, and then to shift your motivation from the outcome that may be more so on an intrinsic level. It's going to be difficult to do that, when a person is in a position where their guilty pleasure is something that they feel is contrary to their goals, or contrary to who they think they should be as a person and where they think they should go in life, then oftentimes they're going to have to fight against that guilty pleasure. And it kind of creates this loop, right? This validational loop of what I want is something that isn't for me, but I want it even more because I feel like it's out of reach. What I want isn't for me, and because I feel that way, I'm going to use what isn't for me as a reward, binging on it, right? Like binge eating, binge sex addictions. There's different ways that works, just being addicted to a person's presence, being addicted to being around a particular individual is something that can work as a motivation. But if you get to a place where you're integrated, where you get to the feminine submissive energy, and then your logical mind finds ways of getting back in that position in moments where it's off, then you are in a very strong place. Because from that position, now you have an added level of motivation that will help with the decisions that are going to benefit you in your lifestyle. Very important concept to understand. And this is one of the greatest powers of relationships, and one of the greatest purposes and what dick is often meant for. See, people don't often understand the metaphysics of dick, right? People don't often understand the metaphysics of dick. Dick is important. Dick is powerful, right? Not every dick has power, right? Because if you're a slave to your desires over your logic, if you're a slave to your desires and chasing pleasure over what suits your program, what follows your purpose, then you're going to be gone with the wind, right? And some people like that. I can't judge people if that's the way they want to move. I'm just speaking from my point of view. But once you tap into having penis power as a man, you got to learn to use that shit with some emotional discipline and to hone that influence and use it to not only the benefit of yourself, and it has to benefit yourself because your cup may get low. And if your cup gets low, then you're going to go through sexual polarity erosion. But you have to use that influence, use that power on the women that you deal with and see, right? Develop your mindset, develop your leadership skills, develop your game plan, your program, and listen to that woman. Talk to her. You know what I mean? See what things she's trying to do in her life. See what her goals, her plans are. See what interests her. See where her health could be better. Mentally, emotionally, sexually, spiritually, financially. See in what ways her life can be improved. And use the fact that you have influence over her through the good dick, which is more than just a physical dick going into her body. Dick alone won't do it. It's at that place where the sex meets the emotions, where a high level of physical pleasure meets that emotional attachment, that emotional pleasure. When those two things meet each other, influence is created, right? That's how you kind of bypass the social programming and the pseudo logic that a woman may come with sometimes, right? Not saying that a woman can't be logical, but there are different types of logic. Certain things are short-sighted, right? They're only thinking about right now. Certain things are very far-sighted, right? And it's only thinking about the long term, but taking certain things out of the conversation and the understanding that may lead to a place where now you're in a bad position, right? That may lead to a certain place where now you are repressing and suppressing things that you need to be able to walk in fully in order to have a fulfilling relationship and situation, right? These are things that are important to understand. A lot of people don't understand that. It's just like, think about it like your diet, right? If you go long enough only eating junk food, eventually you might get diabetes or hypertension, and then you're going to have to kind of jump and shift your life drastically on the shift of a dime, or else you might die. And oftentimes you might be too far in order to do what's necessary. But then on the other side, you can live a lifestyle that's very puritanistic, right? Or is very Puritan, right? It's very restrictive. And all it takes is just a little bit of something to throw you off, right? Then if you just want to go out and have a good time, live kind of like a more so a regular person, and you eat something and now your stomach's all fucked up. And sometimes that can be a good thing to an extent. Sometimes. But there's other ways that can sabotage you. There's other ways that it can hurt you. I talk about integration a lot. Good dick and guidance. You want to use the influence of your penis power in a way that's going to benefit the quality of a woman's life. And you got to find ways of doing that. So this is Coach Brody. You know what? And before I finish saying this, I'm going to jump to another point, right? I'm going to jump to a completely other point. So I saw this post in the BDSM community subreddit, and this woman just made a post where she was talking about what's the best thing your dom has pushed you to do. And within this post, there were 64 comments, and within these comments there were a lot of people and a lot of women, some men, but a lot of women who were submissives, who had a dom, who used the fact that they had influence on them, right? That they had a certain level of leadership and control, right? And instead of using that to abuse those women, what did they do? They used that influence to push them to do things that were difficult for them. Some of these women, they were able to finally get the motivation to go back to school, right? Some of these women, they were in a position where they had bad coping mechanisms, right? Some of these women were in a position where they had bad health habits. Some of these people were in positions where they needed to lose weight, right? Some of these people were in positions where they weren't pursuing their dreams, their goals. Some of these people had addictions. Some of these people had very bad spending habits, right? For some of these people, having a dom gave them the ability to quit smoking, right? Gave them the ability to do exercise and take care of themselves better. I know some doms personally. I know one personally, somebody I know, good brother. He gives his women a bedtime so that they can get up and get to work on time and take care of what they need to take care of. For some of them, they went through a lot of things in their childhood, and through dealing with their dom, they got to the place where they were able to finally open up and be more vulnerable and get things off of their chest. Some of them, they got out of this feeling that being needy was a bad thing, right? It's not. Some were finally able to separate their career from their love life, right? And they were able to deal with the man who still pushed them to pursue their dreams and their aspirations and their goals. Some of them got married. Some of them went and got their certifications or went back to get their diploma after all they had was their GED. Some of them, the dom paid so much close attention that they were in a position where they had an illness that they didn't even recognize, but he paid so close attention that he recognized certain things were off and got her ass to go to the fucking doctor so that they could be taken care of, and caught it before it could have ended her life. Some of them, they were taught to drive. Something as simple as flossing every day. It's so many different things. Another one said he helped me discover that I like my singing voice and I'm a pretty good writer. And he's been an artistic muse. One thing I've done as a dom is I've been an artistic muse. And I've had women write songs and poetry about me, and it was some beautiful shit. And just seeing a woman flourish in her feminine energy is one of those things that I enjoy the most. It's very fulfilling. It kind of feels like, and I don't have any kids, but it's kind of like if you're a father and your baby comes to you with a little spaghetti necklace, you know what I mean? It's like, man, this is fucking awesome. Like, I could only imagine what that's like. Sometimes it's linking, teaching them to love themselves. Another one said, it might sound weird, but deep throating. Facts. I've done that myself. I've dealt with several women to where, throat training is one of my favorite things to do with my subs. Just throat training is something I love because it's something about showing a woman that she can do something that she never thought she could. Sometimes for me, just on the sexual front, it's like deep throating, getting to the point where she can pretty much have orgasms from giving head, just taking a woman into subspace, right? Subspace is such a beautiful thing. Multiple orgasms. Sometimes women thought that they couldn't have orgasms from penetration. They thought they never could, thought they never would. But then you give them multiples. Or taking a woman to the place where she's crying from the dick, crying off of the sex, right? Or just taking a woman to a place where she's squirting. You know what I mean? Taking a woman to the place where things she thought she couldn't do, she can do now. Now she has a skill. She can look at it and say that I'm good. I got this. Right? And there's this idea that submissive women are a pushover. I see this one where it says, my owner pushed me to stand up for myself and not be pushed around. See, you see what I'm saying right here? She said, my owner pushed me to stand up for myself and not be pushed around. Sometimes a person has to push you to be who you are. It's not about trying to change you from who you are. It's about recognizing who you are, listening to you to understand what the problem is, but using that influence on your emotions and on your body and mentally to push you to be the best version of yourself. A lot of people don't understand that. Another one says, he calls me out whenever he sees my nervous tics so that I can be aware of it and work on not doing it. Another one said, end a toxic friendship and hold friends accountable for their actions. Another one said, my dom pushed me to embrace and appreciate my body. I had so many issues with my self-image, but he validated me so much, and even after our breakup, he still continues to inspire me and tells me how beautiful I am no matter what. I love him still for doing so much for my self-confidence. Very forever grateful. Another one said recently, multiple orgasms. That's another one. That's one that I love. But there's a variety of things in how this can work. And I think when people understand the power of a dom-sub dynamic, understand masculine feminine dynamics and dom-sub dynamics, that these are things that can greatly help repair a lot of issues that occur within relationships in our generation and in our society. Psychological reactants and different things like that are things that really, they damage relationships. People have this false idea of freedom, and often in this day and age, people's idea of freedom is really just rebelling against themselves and the things that benefit them, right? Just wanting to feel different no matter what. Wanting to always feel like you're somebody who stands out and is so different. But oftentimes, it's not even like that. Oftentimes, people conflate abuse with dominance. Right? And certain things that are viewed as toxic are within the range of what's just merely being dominant or being masculine. And people conflate those things and don't understand that there are different dynamics. There are different benefits that come from different relationship styles and dynamics. And I believe that once people understand that and they can start to experience and see the value in good leadership, that a lot of things will begin to change. So this is Coach Brody. I'm out.